Now her jewel is fairly simple. It's basically just a cube with a little extruded face. Let's go ahead and make that real quick. We'll just make it an insert mesh brush. I'm going to go out of edit mode, hit Control N, clear my canvas. And we can grab any primitive, doesn't really matter. Actually, we can grab any geometry. But we'll start here. We'll make it a Polymesh 3D. And because it's no longer a primitive, this is actually sculptable geometry. I'm going all the way down here because we made it a Polymesh 3D. And with these initialize options, we can just do a Q cube. And that'll give us a cube here. And now we can use this as like a Z modeler brush, or a Z modeler exercise. So I'm going to go to BZM for my Z modeler brush, or if you have a hotkey, feel free to use that. And we'll go ahead and get rid of these lines down the middle. So, and I'm also going to hit X to go across X symmetry. So this is front. So I'm going to hover over an edge. We're going to do Insert Single Edge Loop, hold down Alt, and tap those to get rid of them. Now we just have a nice simple square. And we'll make this a little bit thinner. So I'll go W, and then send out a transpose line. Or you know what? We could just use ZModeler. Let's hover over face, go to QMesh, Single Poly, grab a face, and then hold down Shift, and that'll just push that down. And now, let's go ahead and grab this face. These are both the same. Let's see. QMesh, we'll do Polygroup All. Actually, let's do Inset Polygroup All. And instead of Inset Region, we'll just do Inset Each Poly. And if we inset this one and look at the back, yes, it looks right. So I'm going to hover over this one, and we'll do QMesh Polygroup All. And we start QMeshing this up and hold down Shift. That'll just pull that face in the direction that we want. And I think... And I'm doing both sides just because when I insert this one, I want it to have a little bit of play to kind of push it into the mesh. And I'm trying to think, is that basically what the gem looks like? Let's see. Yeah, that's about right. So the one on our body is a little bit more diamond, the one on our head's a little bit more square. We can change that after we insert it. Or you know what? Let's do an insert mesh brush that has both. So I've got her head diamond, or her head thing here. And I want it, when I insert this in, I want it to be like at an angle like this. So there's a couple different ways I can do that. And the one is if I hit W and go from this corner to this corner, and then I hold down Control. If I hover over this white dot here, you're going to see there's some options up there. Control click will actually take the camera, and it doesn't rotate the object, but it takes the camera and rotates the object. So now I can actually capture this object just oriented like this. Of course, another thing you can do is just go over here to rotate and actually, not Z, let's try Y, turn on Y. Yeah, rotate Y like 45 degrees. So just undo that, just rotate Y 45 degrees, hit enter, and you can capture it like this as well. So this will work. I'm going to make it a little bit thinner though. So again, transpose and just make this a little bit thinner. If that made this transition a little not thin enough, again, hover over QMesh, Polygroup All, start QMeshing, then hold down Shift, and that'll just pop this in or out more. I guess that's okay. So for this, I'm gonna hit B, create insert mesh, new. So now when I hit B, I've got a new insert mesh, and I can just insert these diamonds all day long. But what I want to do now is do one for her body that's a little bit more elongated. So I'm gonna hit W, and I'm just gonna grab this midpoint here and hold down Shift and just pull, so it's a little bit more elongated. So now what I'm gonna do is hit B. And when I hit Create Insert Mesh Brush with my Insert Mesh Brush I just created, it's going to ask me, do you want to make a new one or do you want to append to that one? I'll append. Hit OK. We can skip this note till next restart. And basically what that said was, if I hit the M key with that brush, I now have two options. I can do square ones, or I can hit M, grab that one, and now I can do elongated ones. If I really like this brush, I can just go to Brush, and if I want to set this, whatever's on my canvas as my icon for this brush, I can go to Brush, hold down Alt, do Select Icon, and then I can do Save As, and I can save this brush. If I want to use this brush periodically, so it's not a brush I want to have with every time I start up ZBrush, I'll go to ZBrush 4R7, so C, Program Files, Pixelogic, ZBrush 4R7, and we'll go to ZBrushes, and see all these folders in here? I can make a gem folder, I can make a Adventure Time folder, whatever, and just put it in there so that when I hit the comma key and go to my brush menu, it'll show up in here. If you do want it to show up all the time, just go to Brush, Save As, go to your ZBrush 4R7 folder, do Z Startup, and then throw it in your brush presets. And then these brushes in here, every time you launch ZBrush, if you hit B, it'll just throw that brush somewhere in here, and then you can assign a hotkey to it. But it's kind of up to you. I'm not going to bother saving the brush because I don't think I'm going to use it past this tutorial, but feel free to save it if you'd like. So now, We've got our girl here, so I'm going to do the elongated one here. So I'm going to hit B, grab that insert mesh brush, hit M, grab the elongated, and then right on the middle here, I'm just going to drag that out. Now it's going to already look soft because it has dynamic preview on. If you wanted to, you could crease that geometry. It's fine to do that, and then it'll actually save that creasing on your insert mesh brush. I forgot, not a big deal. I'm just going to go ahead and do a hide point split hidden. You could do split unmasked points in the split menu here. And then I'll alt-click it. I'll hit Shift-D to turn on that preview. And then I'll just go in here, and I can rotate this around and size it down however I want. And it is across the X-symmetry. Good. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it now. Hit E, and then just kind of size this thing down quite a bit. And put it in here. Now, I might need to go in manually and kind of pull some of these points around, because it does kind of go up out of her skin and then about midway down. So I can go in here and start moving some points around just to fit it to her body a little bit. Another interesting thing you can do, let's undo that, is if you go into your brushes, go to BM, there's a matchmaker brush in here, and if you just kind of position your camera where you want and just drag it, it'll actually match the underlying geometry. Now there wasn't enough edges in here to do it correctly, but that's also a good way to kind of wrap geometry to an underlying surface. And of course, Z intensity, if you only want to do it like 14%, just match your camera, pull that out, and then it'll give you like a 14% curve on there. So, and of course, if you want to crease this thing based on, let's go to our crease menu here, geometry, crease, we can use our crease tolerance, drop that down, hit crease, and the more you drop this down, the more edges it'll pick up. So down to 19, it actually creased all these edges here. So now when we hit D, all of those things are creased. Now what you can do when all these edges are creased now, you can actually go here to bevel and then hit Shift D, and every single one of your creases is now turned into a bevel. So you can kind of do that if you want to, and you can hit D and see what kind of result that gives you. So a lot of cool different ways to do that. But I'll go ahead and just keep those creased for now.